Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Today we are joined by Christina DeRosa, who is an actress, a producer, a content creator, and the Executive Vice President of Film and Television Productions at Kingvigor Inc. Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
And can we just start off a little bit? Could you tell me just a little bit about yourself and some of the roles? Where are some things that people might have seen you in?
Absolutely. A role I'm most proud of would be opposite Lily Collins in the movie Inheritance. You can watch it on Netflix like today. Also been in Lifetime movies. I starred in a movie called Drowning in Secrets that was on Lifetime. Been in Bad Moms with actually Armando's wife, opposite Mila Kunis and Christina Applegate, Blackish, Jane the Virgin, all kinds of TV shows. And you can find me on social media. So you can find me entertaining you now on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and X. And I think I just signed up for like Blue Sky a couple days ago and Lemonade. I mean, every day there's like a new social media app, right?
Well, that is, oh my goodness. Every other day there's something new coming out and you got to get on it, right?
Yes, I know. I went to Lemonade a couple days ago and I was like, is Christina DeRosa still available? Like, that is the question. You got to get in before the name is taken.
That's it. Now, you have over 70 film and television credits and roles. What does it take to cultivate such an impressive filmography?
Well, I always say gratitude is the best attitude. That's just one of my mantras that I live by. And I really do believe, I mean, whether we're in Thanksgiving month, the month of November, or whether it's July, 365 days a year, you have got to be grateful. And the more you're grateful, the more you have to be grateful for. So it's like I have to be grateful for every audition, whether I book it or not is just icing on a cake. But grateful for every audition, grateful for my agents and managers, grateful for everything, grateful for every single day I'm on set, because that's just going to amplify. I have so many funny stories of like not wanting to even leave my trailer on set because I was like, the energy is so good here. Like, I just want to sit in this and like, I don't want to leave. Like, they're like, Christina, it's, you're wrapped. Like, it's time to go. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just like reading books, like checking emails, checking Instagram, like doing anything I can to stay in that vibration of like, I'm on set. Let me just like magnify this energy.
I want to talk a little bit more about that mantra. Gratitude is the best attitude. Now, is that something that is just an inherent belief of yours? Is that something that you learned somewhere along the way? Is that something you had to cultivate? Now, where does that kind of outlook come from?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I every single day on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, I post a daily living mantra. And then every Monday on TikTok and Instagram stories, I post a video version of a living mantra. I call them living mantras because it's even more powerful than like an affirmation. I say it 3 times. I ask the audience to repeat after me. I explain what my living mantra is. I think maybe a week ago it was something about joy is my supernatural power. So I just kind of write, I journal a lot, I pray, I meditate every day, and I just kind of write these mantras that make sense to me, that actually maybe I got from listening to a sermon or listening to a podcast or listening to a fellow friend who's inspirational. But I really believe like mindset is key. And the more, what do we have the power in life to change? Our thoughts, our beliefs, our assumptions. So there's many things I can't change, especially coming from an actor point of view. Like, I can't change the way I look. I mean, yeah, I can do my hair a certain way, do my makeup a certain way, but like, I can't change the fact that I'm a certain height. I'm not going to grow like 10 inches by tomorrow. So it is what it is. But what can I change is my mindset, my beliefs. So I can practice these affirmations and just stay in gratitude. And to me, it's the only way to really live. Like, I wouldn't want to live grumpy. I want to live in gratitude.
And I totally agree with, I wonder, so living, gratitude is the best attitude. How did that mantra help you? Actors have had a tough time lately, going from the pandemic straight into the SAG strikes and the WGA strikes. How did you navigate those periods of time? And did that mantra help you navigate those periods of time?
Absolutely. It's like I always have to look for the good. There's always something to be grateful for. Even in the middle of a pandemic, I actually coined the phrase, what did I call it? I called it corona bonuses. Like there were bonuses of the coronavirus. Like I know it sounds cray cray, but yet like there were some good things. Like I never pre-pandemic, I never really enjoyed being in my pajamas and staying home like all day the way I do now. Like now it's like, oh, it's such a treat to like come home and put on the like comfy sweats and like not wear pants. Like there's something about that like I can laugh about it now. And I think the key word in addition to gratitude from the pandemic would be pivot. Like we all had to learn how to pivot our lives. So for me, the pandemic led me more when the entertainment industry shut down and I couldn't be auditioning for film and television and commercials and all that. I went to social media. I went to TikTok and Instagram, and I was posting way more than I'm even posting now. And I started creating these living mantras in the pandemic. Like that's how that was birthed. And now I still do it to this day, 2024, because it worked, it stuck, it helped people, it inspired people. During the pandemic, I created a show with my dear friend called Kittens on the Couch. And we were like, kitty cats, meow, meow, kittens on the couch. And we'd sit on my couch and we'd like just the four, like her husband, my husband, and the two of us, we'd all get together and we just like would like only be the four of us ever getting together during the pandemic, create this show, do a sassy review of products. And it created amazing relationships. It created entertainment. And it was fun for us to be creating during a time when things were shut down. I think creators always need to create. And it just depends on what stage, what platform you're going to do that on. So if someone tells you you can't do it on a stage or on a film or a television show, you create another stage that you can create on. I mean, podcasts, great example, right? Like there's probably more podcasts now than pre-pandemic. Am I right?
Right. Absolutely. More listeners. They had a captive audience, you know?
There you go.
So I would like to talk a little bit about how you decided that this was the field. What inspired you to become an actress? What inspired you to become a producer? How did you find this field? What developed this love of this for you?
Well, I started dancing and singing and acting when I was a little girl. My first musical was with Natalie Portman when we were munchkins together in The Wizard of Oz, and her dog was Toto. Not kidding. And funny story, actually, side note, I remember sitting, like this is before Natalie Portman, when her name was Natalie Hirschlag, did The Professional. And we were sitting in a circle outside as like our little munchkin outfits. And we were all saying like, well, Natalie, tell me what you want to be when you grow up. And she said, I want to be a doctor like my father. And I always say, oh, I'm so glad you didn't become a doctor like your father. Like, I'm so glad you went the actor route. And so, yeah, I had the singing and dancing bug in me from like a young age. And then my little story is after taking the expression break a leg literally, I fell on stage, broke my leg right after my first year of college at the Boston Conservatory. I had a full scholarship to the Boston Conservatory, broke my leg on stage, was told then by a doctor that I would never dance again. So couldn't go back to the Boston Conservatory, had to pivot and go, okay, what am I going to do with my life? Okay, I'm going to focus on film and television. I'm going to move to California. I'm going to apply to UCLA, got accepted into UCLA, and the rest is history. Like, been here ever since.
Hey, go Bruins, right? all day.
Are you a UCLA alumni?
I took a screenwriting program from there, their online course. So I got a thing up there for UCLA.
I got my diploma right there.
Nice. I love it. Well, I've got to ask now. I want to pivot a little more into talking about your role with Kingvigor, and who are the people that you help with Kingvigor? What are the things you produce? What is the aim of Kingvigor? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We started out representing actors and writers. My partner was taking care of more of the actors, still takes care of the actors, and I was taking care of more of the writers. So I love writing. I don't write scripts myself, but I love working with writers. I just have such a respect for writers. And last year, 2023, pre-writers strike, sold a script to Sony Pureflix that one of my writers wrote. and I was working on every draft with the writer of the script. So it feels like it's my baby in addition to, of course, it's her baby. It's like her baby, but I'm like the biggest babysitter. And and yeah, so I love working very closely with writers. I love securing new properties and new IPs and reading scripts. And so it just kind of fits. When something just fits your personality, it almost feels like it just kind of you flow into it. It's definitely not something I realized I'd be doing at a young age. It just kind of happened. And I really think producing is connecting dots. And I love connecting people, places, and things. It's just the natural producer in me loves connecting people. When I meet people on set, it's like, oh my gosh, you're an actor, you're a writer, you need this and you have this, boom. So I'm constantly like doing that naturally. So it just kind of formed into and evolved into Kingvigor and representing actors and writers. We keep it small, tiny but mighty. And yeah, we produced a movie actually during the pandemic called The Savannah Haunting, and shot in Savannah, Georgia, about a real haunted house in Savannah, Georgia. And our aim is really to work on more faith-based material, and that's really what we're heading towards now.
Really? And I guess I find it really interesting. Can you talk a little bit? You talk a little bit about, babysitting the project and everything. Can you talk about that's got to be a pretty emotional experience, being invested in every step along the way, from, writing to producing to actually getting it shot and edited to promotion and everything from beginning to end. That's got to be a pretty emotional roller coaster, being able to step back and see the finished product up on a screen, right? That's got to be incredible.
Yeah, I'd say just like anything in life, it takes a lot of prayer. And prayer for me is like how do I pray? I don't pray like begging and pleading, but it's like I pray like visualizing and thanking God in advance that it's going to happen. So it says, a great quote is, it's impossible to please God without faith. So it's like faith and trust are married. So I have to have absolute faith and trust, and I have to believe that it's going to happen before it even happens. So, oh my gosh, like every step of the way, it goes back to the gratitude is something to celebrate. Like getting it sold is a celebration. Getting it to the 35th draft is a celebration. Getting
Right.
any actor attached is a celebration, et cetera, et cetera. Like, so everything is a celebration, and everything is kind of like a little baby miracle. I mean, making a movie is no joke. Making
Right.
anything is no joke, right? And I think that's also why I love pivoting to like social media. I think that's why I actually love social media, because it's like I'm making these little baby movies, like 30-second baby movies. And it's a lot easier to make a little 30-second baby movie than to make a 2-hour movie that involves way more people. So I
Right.
love the social media element, that I could actually literally be the writer, the director, the producer, the star, the hair and the makeup, on set designer, the set designer, the sound, the DP. Like I could be everything. Now I do have a partner who helps me, but at the same time, like it's like a two-man show, or it's like a one-person show, and I can get it done, and I can get it posted and out there and on its platform immediately. So there's something
Right.
just so gratifying about that, because yes, it is a long haul to get to get a movie made. It could take many people's prayer and visualization, right? But with these social media little baby tiny 30-second movies, it's like it's a one-man show. So it's a
Right.
lot easier.
So can you talk to me a little bit? This might be taking a step backward, but I find this, really, really interesting, not being in the acting space. How do you approach an audition? How do you get in the right headspace of a character? How do you find a character? How do you approach an audition? And I guess even furthermore, when you're on set on the day of, what is your approach to slipping into that character and transforming yourself into that character?
Okay, great questions. Yeah, I'd say I'll answer it backwards. I'll answer the second
Sure.
question. So, in order to be on set and do a great job, you've got to do all your homework before. So, I wouldn't say you get on set and you slip into the character. It's like you get on set and you've already done all the pre work. So now it's just like playtime, like a playground. For me, it all begins with the script. And that's why, again, I go back to writing and how much I love writing and how much I love stories and writing, like good quality writing. Um, I think it was a famous actress who said that actors should be given Oscars and Emmys and all kinds of awards, not for the Aaron Sorkin material, not for the Spielberg movies, but they should be given that for the really low budget, really poorly written movies, because it's actually a lot harder to make, cringy dialogue with lots of exposition sound really believable and authentic. And actors have to do that all the time.
Right.
I won't go into more details on that, but you get my point. So for me, it all begins with the script. So even if I only have 2 pages, even if I don't have an entire script and I only have 2 pages of the audition side, I've got to read that personally like 25 times just to read it. And reading it is like absorbing it like a sponge. So the more I read it, it's like I'm finding clues. It's like I'm reading Shakespeare, even though a lot of times it's not Shakespeare. I'm reading it to just find what can I pull, what can I draw from it. And I'm just reading it. And then, of course, I want to get it off the page and into my body and physically in my mouth, and I want it to be mine. So I want to work with either an acting coach or a dear friend who's an actor and just play around. I play a lot of like games sometimes with my material before I actually even get ready to self-tape or get ready to send an audition. Like, just play with it. Maybe I'll sing the entire thing, maybe I'll whisper the entire thing, maybe I'll do the whole thing like a fight, like an argument, even if it's a love scene. Just to find different layers and just to find different colors, because every scene or conversation, I call them, has so many different like subtextual moments and layers in there, and just really to get involved with the story. I think it's important to not necessarily remove yourself or judge yourself. A lot of times, especially when it's not that great writing, it's easy to like judge the character and be like, this bitch, right? But then you're not becoming that bitch, right? Like, you want to become that, and you want to justify every single reason why you say everything, and you want to understand your intention of why you say every line you say of dialogue, everything you do in that film or movie or commercial, every action you do. Why do you do it? Like, you have to justify it, and that can be tricky, and that sometimes is a little bit like a detective. Like, sometimes I have to put my detective glasses on when I'm reading a script and just go, okay, why do I do that, and why do I do that? And sometimes I don't have a lot of time to make these decisions. So you just have to quickly draw from your imagination and draw from your past and go, okay, the reason I'm doing this is because I was abused as a kid, or I was this, or I was this. You're making up stories that are not even script based, but that can justify me to get into that situation and story and circumstance. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And when you're reading a script and you're going through a script the first time, are there some key indicators of things you're looking for? Is there a key, like, is there something in the script that lets you know right off the bat, this is a great script? Or is there, conversely, something that you would see where you would go, oh boy, this is a rough one?
Great question. I guess also different to answer that from a producer point of view or from an actor point of view, although could also be the same answer. Let's just say there are many scripts that I get from writers and from people wanting me to produce them, wanting me to work with them on them as a producer, that I wouldn't touch, like I wouldn't work on. But yet, would I possibly consider working on it as an actor? Yes. So from a producer point of view, I have to 100% with all of me love everything about the people, the story, everything, because producing is like, it takes, I think, all of you. I always say that producing almost has producing has helped me become like an even better person. And that sounds huge, right? I mean, that's like, whoa. Because again, it takes like every part of my being, my everything. But I could work on a story from an actor point of view, and the actor almost has to believe that like I am the star of the story, even if I'm just like a co-star or a guest star coming in on a TV show. I might not have to know everything about so many other things of the world, because it might not even be revealed. Executive producers might not even share that information. So it's more like I have to believe my little world as an actor. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's got to be a fairly difficult thing, right? To separate out actor brain and producer brain. Does that take a bit of work, or does that come naturally?
Sometimes my acting coach will say, Christina, like, take off your producer brain. Like, which is tricky because I'll be like, oh my gosh, like I'll get an audition for something and my immediate thought is like, I would never cast me in this role. Like I cast blah, 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 blah. And she's like, that's not going to help. Like, let's take that out because that's your producer brain talking. Let's put on your actor brain and let's go into this now as if 100% you are this person and why you're going to say what you're going to say and justify everything. So yeah, I mean, I think the producer brain will make me become more discerning, which is a good thing. But when it's a good project, it's just a good project. When it's a good script and a good story, you want to work on it in any capacity. I mean, if the writing is good, again, it goes back to great writing. If the writing is good and it's just from such heart, like I'll be a PA on it. I mean, I'll do anything to be a part of it because you just want to be a part of that world. I always say, like, I was just talking to my acting coach the other day about this. We were talking about the fact that why would any actor be like an a-hole on set? Why would any actor be not cool, be not easy to work with? Because you're all on set going, go team, go, like go Dodgers or go Yankees or go Mets, or like you're all rooting for like the same team. Like, why would anyone be rude or impolite, just unpolite or just not nice to work with? Like, it's such a blessing to be on a set and to get to do what we get to do. I just can't understand, like, sometimes you hear horror stories about actors that are just not that great
Oh yeah.
to work with. And you're like, why? Like, everybody, in my opinion, should just be kind and gracious. And I've had wonderful experiences working with Susan Lucci and Lily Collins and people, and Marley Matlin, and people that were just so kind and went out of their way to like make me feel welcomed. And I always go on set as an actor thinking, or as a producer on set going, that's who I want to be like. Like, I want to just welcome everyone, be nice to every single extra, thank them all for being here. Because again, it goes back to gratitude. Like, the more we're grateful for every element of this production, the more the production is going to just like glow and shimmer and sparkle and shine.
Well, and the thing is too, right, is that, if actors are jerks on the set or whatever, and, have bad behavior on the set, it is one of those things that years down the line, some guy that was a PA is going to be, hey, who was a jerk? I was going to say, I met Eric Roberts a couple times and I still talk about him. He's a great guy. I was like, I love the guy,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, people always, there's a lot of wonderful stories about Eric. I've worked with Eric. I feel like Eric's one of those like Kevin Bacon guys. Like, everybody's worked with Eric, right? It's like playing the Kevin Bacon game, right? You're like, everyone's worked with Eric. Everyone's worked with Brittany Underwood. I say that about Brittany Underwood. Like, it's a lot of people that you're like, oh, everyone's worked with them. And they say nice things about them. And you're like, good, great.
Right.
I'm glad. Like, that makes sense. Let's keep that up. Let's not, I don't want actors to have like a bad reputation, right? Because then it trickles down and we don't want to be in a category where people think ill of us. Like, no.
Right. So have you ever read a script that was offered to you or auditioned for something where you knew and just felt in your heart of hearts, like, I was born to play this part. I am going to crush this part. And conversely, was there ever one that you were offered or that or performed in where you thought, I cannot relate to this character. I can't crack this. Is there a good and a bad, I guess?
Absolutely. I definitely get roles where I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a little trickier for me to understand the mindset in. But I also feel like I make it clear with my marketing. I make it clear with my headshots, my resume, my reel, the kind of roles I want to continue booking and the kind of roles I excel in. And also, I'm very clear with my agents and managers. I look at the breakdowns, I see what comes out, and I'll tell them in advance, hey, I just read a Deadline article or a Variety article that Al Pacino's in this movie and it's going to be a lot of Italian Americans. I'm Italian American. You know that. Like, keep me in mind for when you do see the breakdowns come out. So I feel like I'm very clear on the roles I want to do. And when they come in and they make absolute sense, it's like, oh, yeah. A role that I really felt so drawn to was the role that I booked in Inheritance with Lily Collins. When I first got that audition, funny story, when I first got the audition, it was a self-tape, and I sent 2 tapes, sent it in, didn't hear for like a month, and then reached out to my manager at the time and was like, I don't normally do this, but how open would you be to send an email to the casting director and just see if any casting decisions have been made? I just felt so good about my work. I never really asked for this type of favor, but would you be willing? He was like, absolutely, I'll send an email. He sent an email. Within like 10 minutes of him sending that email, he got a reply from the casting director. And it was like, oh my goodness, it's between Christina and one other actress. We'll know by tomorrow what the decision is from the director. Next day, the decision was I booked it and I was on a plane to Alabama, like boom. And it was just, I feel like the moral of that story is like, you have to trust. Like when you just 100% feel with every bone in your body, like, I'm supposed to be this role, like I'm
Right.
supposed to tell this story, then you do want your agents and managers to push a little. And pushing a little is not that big a deal. Like, so they send an email to the casting director or producer or somebody they can get in touch with and be like, hey, any decisions? Have you taken a look at this actor's take? And blah, blah, blah. And this is why she feels so connected to the material. I always love to go a little above and beyond when I really do love a role too. After an audition, if I can get my hands on an email address for the casting director or mostly writer or producer or director and just not ask for anything, but just say, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is why the material resonated with me. This is what drew me to this role, to this character, to this story. To me, that feels like, again, gratitude. And it also feels like a feeling of closure because it's like, you know what? I did the best I could. I'm going to release and destroy my need to book this job, but I'm going to let it go and just trust that I've done everything I could. And so it is. So to me, that's like a practice that I've developed that I just love doing.
Right. So all of these roles, all these films, all these projects that you've been in, I'm sure you have countless stories from being on set, but I'm curious if there is one story you could share with us that just really, really stands out. That when people say, what is something crazy that happened on a set, or what is a story that pops into your brain of all the things that really stands out? Do you have one that you could possibly share?
Well, I never like to share anything that's negative. Again, it's gratitude is the
Oh,
best
sure.
attitude. So it has to all be rooted in joy and positivity. I remember when I was on set of Blackish, I was there for a few days and I was on set many days working with Anthony Anderson and working with other actors. And I wasn't in the very beginning having a scene yet with Tracy Ellis Ross. And it was like maybe afternoon time of the day. And Tracy was like arriving on set. And when Tracy arrived on set, it was like all the kids who play her family on set that are not her real kids, but like play her kids on set. It was just like Mama T, Mama T, like the amount of joy that I felt and I heard out of their voices, just the amount of joy that they felt when they saw her just arriving on set, like on a random Tuesday afternoon, just brought me to like a silly amount of tears because I was like, oh my gosh, like that's the impact I want to have when I go on set and I'm playing a mother and I'm playing like like I'm in a family show. Like it just took me to like this other world where I was like, wow, that joy is like a supernatural joy that she is obviously embodying and other people feel, and it just contagiously spreads in a wonderful way. And I wish I could like capture that little joy and like sprinkle it on like fairy dust because like it just warmed my heart to hear the little kids like say Mama T. I just felt that joy, and it's because like she was such a leader on that show and she did such a great job on set and off set of being a mom that you just felt it. And I was like, wow, that's beautiful.
Well, and you talk about that joy, and you do yourself spread a little bit of joy on social media through your content creation. And I would love to talk a little bit about your social media, your content creation, and your short girl, tall girl posts. I highly recommend everybody listening to this go give Christina's social media a listen. It is absolutely hilarious. Can you talk a little bit about the content creation and the work you do there?
Absolutely. I really believe that negativity just cannot exist when you're laughing. And I also believe that we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously. So I'm Piccolina. That's what I answer when people say, Christina, how tall are you? I say Piccolina. And Piccolina, I'm Italian, and Piccolina means cute little one. So I never really give my actual height. I just say Piccolina. And I really feel like if it wasn't for TikTok and Instagram and social media, I wouldn't have made friends with Rachel Pizzolato or Ikaterina or Sean Berg or any of like the tallest friends I have. And I have friends that are really tall that I would have never had if it wasn't for creating short girl, tall girl content. And it helps us all like embrace who we are. Again, like I can't change how tall I am no matter how high my heels are. And Ikaterina can't ever be like 5 feet. Like she's never going to be my height and I'm never going to be her height. but we can always like embrace each other's heights, and we actually come together and realize how similar we are when we focus on our differences. So there's just power in that. And I mean, it's been so much fun. Some people think it's like photoshopped or not real, but it's literally real life. Like I really am Piccolina, and she really is tall. So when I look up on her, like it really looks crazy, but that's life, and it's funny. And we just need more things to laugh at, and we need to laugh at ourselves, because if we can't laugh at ourselves, like then what are we doing?
Well, Christina, this has been absolutely awesome. If people do want to go and search your content, and people do want to go and research maybe Kingvigor Inc., where can they find you? Where can they find Kingvigor Inc.?
Absolutely. Everything is on my website, ChristinaDeRosa.com. It's a landing page that leads to my TikTok, my Instagram, my Twitter, my all the social medias, Getty Images, all the stuff, as well as Kingvigor.com. And you can find me on Instagram, on TikTok. You can find me on all social media. You can follow, you can comment, because I do my best to reply to every single comment. Might take me a while, but I do get to every comment eventually. So you can see some of my short girl, tall girl content. You can see my living mantras, and give me a hello, and I'll give you a hello back.
Well, Christina, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Well, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Partnerships for Profit, presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Christina, thank you again.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.